Good evening, everyone. Today is October 13th, 2022. This is the regular session of your Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas Commissioners meeting. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that some commissioners, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom or on site. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time that you're allowed to speak, so the public that is observing knows who is speaking. And it is critical given the number of remote participants and its current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General's office. I will now call this meeting to order, and I'll ask the clerk to please present the roll call.
Roll call. Markley?
Here.
Stites?
Here.
Davis? We have an absence memo. Bynum? Here. Burrows? We have an absence memo. Townsend?
Here.
McKiernan? We have an absence memo. Ramirez?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
Kane?
Here.
Garner?
Here. Thank you, clerk. Tonight's invocation is going to be given by Commissioner Harold Johnson of the Faith Deliverance Church of God in Christ, followed immediately by the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask everyone to please stand.
Let us pray. Eternal God, we come to you tonight and we welcome you in your presence to our meeting this evening. I thank you for this mayor and every commissioner and every leader at every level in our city. Give us grace to bring truth and stability to our county, to our city. Grant us the power to do what is right and to govern in fairness. May Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, Bonner Springs, and Edwardsville be known for justice and equity. This I pray in the name of Christ our Lord. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Commissioner Johnson, for providing that invocation. I believe there's some revisions to tonight's agenda, and I ask the clerk to announce those, please.
Yes, Mayor, we have one revision to tonight's agenda. Under the mayor's agenda, we have added item number 4, a proclamation for the 25th anniversary of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County in Kansas City, Kansas. Those are all the revisions.
Thank you. That takes us to our next item, which is the mayor's agenda. And that item is going to be our community input and recommendations, discussions, where we allow the public to come forward. It is a public forum to express compliments or concerns. We ask that you bring a recommendation. I will have to say that you have 3 minutes, and once your 3 minutes is up, we'll ask that you take your seat. I also ask that we recognize the decorum of the commission while people are speaking. Please hold your applause. Any type of emotional comments that you may want to have, be respectful of each speaker until the conclusion of their speaking. When you come to the podium, please announce your name and your address for the record. I'll now open the public comment and ask the clerk to provide synopsis indicating how many comments were submitted and to start the process for the open input and recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor. We received no written comments. We do have 9 individuals sign up to speak this evening in chambers. The first person to speak is Aaron Stryka with Max Evans on deck.
Good evening. My name is Erin Stryka, here representing Rosedale Development Association at 1401 Southwest Boulevard, and also myself as a concerned neighbor at 841 Shawnee Road. Here, I'm afraid to make some emotional comments. I'll do my best. This morning at 6:45 a.m., I stepped onto my back porch and saw flames 50 feet in the air above Rosedale Ridge. It is the third time in 6 months that Rosedale Ridge has been on fire. Since 2014, when the owners of Rosedale Ridge lost their rental license due to horrific neglect of their tenants, Rosedale Ridge has been on fire because a gas leak caused an explosion that led to the demolition of one building, because a second gas leak caused a second explosion, because a group of teenagers stole a car and after they were done joyriding, they parked it at Rosedale Ridge and let it on fire, because some folks were cold in the winter and they went inside to warm up and they set a fire. And most recently, we believe because somebody is setting fires. Since Rosedale Ridge closed, RDA has worked to attract a developer to that property, and the owner has rejected multiple reasonable offers for it. At this point, Mill Street Hill leading up to Rosedale Ridge has deteriorated such that no responsible developer would want it anymore. It has become so dangerous that we cannot let this situation continue. Somebody is gonna die. I talked to people near Rosedale Ridge all day long. I cannot tell you how many of them said to me, boy, I really hope they get the woods wet and let it burn down. Your codes officers, your police officers, and goodness gracious, your firefighters have done everything within their considerable power to resolve this situation.
1 minute remaining.
And now we really need you to step in before somebody dies. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Max Evans. Barbara Clark Evans will be on deck.
Hey, I'm Max Evans. I'll keep it 2008 South Bokee. I'm also feeding into the same property. My father I grew up there. I'm 70 years old and grew up at South 9th Street, literally right across the street from Rosedale Ridge Apartments. I've owned owned and lived in 5 properties within a block from there my whole life. I bought 2008 South Bokee last November, and in the time that I've owned that property, that apartment building has now been on fire 3 times. It's a detriment to the community, and people are really starting to gentrify that neighborhood, which is a great thing for me. I loved it growing up as a kid, and then we saw it fall into disrepair really because of a result of the Rosedale Ridge Apartments. There was a period of time that early on that it was a fine apartment building, but it became, I think there's 3 unsolved homicides still on the books with Kansas Police Department because of that property. I worried every day that my father lived right across the street from that until he died 10 years ago. Fortunately, he never had anything happen. But I know personally, I've put more than $150,000 into 2008 South Bokee since buying it last November. I'm also redoing the house right across the street that was my aunt's house at 2025 South Bokee. The neighborhood is really starting to turn, and it's just a horrible situation that that's allowed to remain as it is. It really is it's just awful. You guys see it on the news. We see it on the news. I woke up with a television truck in my driveway the other day. So, that's the situation I won't burden you with anymore. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Our next speaker is Barbara Clark Evans. Sam Colson on deck.
Well, I'm Max's wife, and we own 2008 South Bokee and 2025 South Bokee. And as he said, we've lived in many residents in that area. These apartment buildings, they're a hazard and they're an eyesore. And right now, as we look at the economic development in that area, I mean, we follow every house that is bought and sold in that area. And now people are really investing in that area. And if you look at KU Medical Center, where are they going to go? They're moving that direction. People are buying houses that direction. You can't buy a house up in Westwood. It's $1 million now. So even the little coffee shop on Southwest Boulevard, they're like, hey, we want to invest in this neighborhood. So what we're asking the city is to have those apartments torn down. They're a hazard and they're an eyesore. And people are not going to keep investing. You have something like that directly in the middle of a neighborhood. That place has such great potential. If you go up the other hill across from Strasser's, you see the development there. So it has great potential for development. You have people who are investing, like my husband and I and other neighbors. You see houses being taken care of. They're being rebuilt. They're investing on the interior. It's really great. We have young people moving into the neighborhood, young families. That's what we want to see. But we can't have something like that that causes such a hazard to the neighborhood. I mean, we stood on the porch at 2008 and watched the fire in the air. And you saw on the news just the other day where they said you could see this fire from all over the city. It's time for those apartments to be torn down before somebody's going to get hurt in that place. And then there's going to be a death. And we don't need that. Please help us get this torn down. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sam Colson. Stephen Lynch on deck.
My name is Sam Colson, 1895 South 7th Street. I'd like to add my voice to the speakers before me. Yesterday, while I was at work, I was looking up near Dagwoods, looking up, and I saw a great old fire, and that was pretty close to where my house is, and I was like, I wonder if I'm going to have a house when I get home. In addition to the apartments, there's a number of derelict houses. I've seen that they are becoming magnets for crime. I've seen petty vandalism, spray painting, escalating to breaking windows, homeless and vagrants coming in. As much as I want to respect the property rights, if they pay the code violations, if they pay their property taxes, I respect that. But if due to their negligence there is a death, then I also expect there should be a criminal charge for negligence, and the owners of the property need to be aware of such consequences.
Our next speaker is Stephen Lynch. Louise Lynch on deck.
I'm Stephen Lynch, resident of Armadale. Cede my time to Louise Lynch.
Our next speaker is Louise Lynch. Sarah Lynch on deck.
My name is Louise Lynch. I am a resident here of Kansas City, Kansas. I spoke at the last.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
Want me to just speak louder? I spoke at the last commission meeting in regards to BPU and their practices and lack thereof, and us needing to change the charter immediately, not waiting until the charter committee gets to it and responds maybe a year from now. We need help now. After such meeting, I put a call in to all of the commissioners to call me back in regards to this meeting. Very few of you called me back. I heard from Commissioner Stites, Commissioner Townsend, Commissioner Burrows, and a horrific call from Commissioner Andrews, which I want to focus on. No resident of this county should get a call from a commissioner and be screamed at. I am a senior citizen. I am more than double his age. To disrespect me in that manner, because whether you agree with me or not, whether you like my values or don't, is irrelevant. You all are put in your positions to assist us as residents and work for the people. We don't work for the commissioners, but we should work together as with the mayor. Mr. Davis went on to let me know that as long as I had my values aligned with the mayor, I would never be taken seriously and there would be no resolution to whatever I were to bring up. This is more than appalling. This has to be some violation of code of ethics. It is not acceptable. He also let me know that the votes that happened from the budget that were 8-1, if I noticed in the last few votes that happened, they've all been 8-1 because there is a silent pact going on and that the mayor will not have anything resoluted to his favor for the duration of his term. I want the residents of Wyandotte to understand this. We voted the mayor in to lead our county. Whether you like it or not, whether he won by 1 vote or 1,000,000 is irrelevant. To direct, and then he directed me and let me know that unless I berate our mayor in public at a commission meeting, that was the only thing that would make you all believe that I was serious to help the people. I am not going to do that. I am not going to do that. That is just appalling. I understand that in the community, there was another, here there are several incidents in him speaking with different women, particularly, where he tells them to be quiet and sit down. On one incident, it was because they were a different race. We as women are having our rights stripped from us. In Waco, we need to be unified. If you can't go to the mayor and talk, and you can't talk to the residents, what are you here for? I applaud those who responded. I applaud those who decided to input. Whether you agree with me or not is irrelevant. Commissioner Bynum, I called several times, never got a call back. My commissioner is Commissioner McKiernan. In 9 years that I've been a resident where I'm at, has never even communicated with me. If you all don't want to do your job, resign or get recalled. Enough is enough. We need help. Kira is ending. They are now in the hold phase. People are going to start being disconnected. The $105,000 that was moved to a slush fund could be used to help these people instead of block parties and pizza parties, as was told to me. I also was told by Commissioner Davis that he has been watching me for a very long time in a very cryptic manner. I brought my ill husband here today because he became afraid of the tone Mr. Davis used and of the wording he used. What does that mean that you've been watching a resident for a very long time? Is that stalking? Should I be afraid? Is there really a silent fact? I'd like to hear from all of the commissioners and let us know whether you've joined this pack or not, because this is unacceptable. And if you don't like me, I'm okay with that. But I am a resident and you need to respect me.
1
and we
minute
need to make
remaining.
this county better. This cannot continue. Are we waiting for an insurrection here in Waco? Do we have to take a measurement of how much melanin is in our skin? I'm not going to have it. I can work with anyone who will be respectful. But if you can't be respectful for me and you're going to direct a resident to berate the mayor, whether you agree or not agree, then that is unacceptable. You should resign now. And those of you who are willing to work with us, please call me 913-605-4070. My email address is gifts737@gmail.com. I am willing to work for all of the residents of Wyandotte.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sarah Lynch. Ty Gorman on deck.
Good evening.
Oh, geez.
My name is Sarah. My name is Sarah Lynch. I'm a resident of Wyandotte, Armourdale. I was present during the phone call between Louise Lynch and Commissioner Davis inadvertently. And I can assure you that Mrs. Lynch speaks the truth regarding her account of the phone call. My reputation relies on my veracity, so you can take my words to the bank. I'm here tonight to remind you all of the ethics pledge you took as you each ascended your positions, particularly Clause 5, where you all promised that both your constituents and others would get their concerns, grievances, and ideas regarding any policy that was passed here heard, and that you would make sure that that was so. To tell a resident that their opinion is worthless and nothing they say will be taken seriously because of their choices that they made in a past election is in direct conflict with that clause. To tell a woman of another race to sit down and shut up because you don't want to hear their opinion because they are of that race, or maybe it's because they're a woman, or maybe it's both, is in direct conflict with the oath that you took. I come here to ask you all to maybe look over that pledge and to hold each other and yourselves accountable to it. I can only imagine how tedious it must be to sit in your positions and catch the ire of each resident that calls you as they air their grievances, be it a burning bridge or be it conduct from one of your colleagues. And I understand that each of you are human.
1 minute remaining.
But it's also just that at the same time, though, you are also held to a higher standard because you are our elected officials. And we chose each of you to represent us and lead us as you pass the policy that will affect everyone in this county. To those of you that remember those oaths and respect your position and do your best to ensure that each resident is heard, thank you. And to those that would consider joining such a silent pact as the one that was described by Commissioner Davis, shame on you. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Ty Gorman. Carolyn Wyatt on deck.
Hello, I'm Ty Gorman, 2843 Parkwood Boulevard. I am also the Sierra Club representative for Kansas, and within that capacity, I've been working for the past couple of years through the pandemic with and to push BPU to stop disconnecting people who will be put in medical danger from those disconnections, to have more compassion and better policies to before they shut people's water and electricity off, and have pushed for a number of specific policies in that arena. But I wanted to come tonight with something the county commission can do specifically to help solve this problem within the next year, and that is pass a resolution similar to 200005 passed by Kansas City, Missouri, which it basically engages the community in a planning process that would give access to billions of federal dollars in competitive grants and direct state to the city grants, which would allow for the planning process to occur with the community involved and to meet the needs that BPU has to get the bills paid without them having to constantly threaten, cut people off, and have to go through this Byzantine network of assistance programs that they have set up currently that are loosely connected to the United Way, that run out of money often, that are very difficult to navigate. And as the Kira program is ending this month, that becomes even more important. Even though Kira wasn't meeting the need either, now there's going to be a lot more folks put in danger from BPU's policies. I've approached the board with this many times, and they need outside help. They're pointing the finger at other sources.
1 minute remaining.
So passing this resolution would also give access through the community planning process to billions of dollars in energy efficiency, to directly invest in people's homes, clean energy, and can really reduce BPU bills by 50%. There are buyouts for BPU's coal plant that would result in replacement of the debt, replacement of the clean energy resources, reducing community bills by 50% while maintaining reliability. I've reached out to some of you about this. I'll reach out to others and have heard back from a couple. But want to, and this also affects the Public Works Department's work that I've spoken with them, and this planning process can engage people in a climate action plan or climate mitigation plan to have the community have direct involvement in their, how the flooding affects folks, how these high bill prices affect folks, and to different.
Your time has expired.
All right, well, I'll stop there then, but I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.
Our final speaker is Carolyn Wyatt.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Wyatt, live at 359 True. I'm here this evening. About a month ago, I was here addressing the commissioners about a PAC. I don't know if you remember. About a PAC. And commissioners were put in office by a community to address their needs, not their own. I can't remember when there was so many vetoes by a mayor. These commissioners were not elected by the staff, but commissioners, they were elected by the people to serve the people. But we know who they're serving, self-serving. Community keep watching and tell others to watch the commission meeting. You, the people, put them in office, and now you can take the office back. We have to hold them accountable for what they aren't doing. We all know what a PAC is, and it's not good. It's self-serving. We have to do better ourselves and do what's right for the people. So I just want to remind you that when you were put in office, you were put in by the people, not the staff, but by the people. And that's who you should be representing, the people, not yourselves, not coming together against one person. Because you got to do what's right. If you don't do what's right, you're held accountable by God also. So that's one thing you got to remember. You're working for the people. And if you can't do that, then you're in the wrong position. Thank you.
Mayor, those are all the individuals who've signed up to speak this evening.
Someone else in the audience would like to speak? So come forward, state your name, address, please.
Yeah, name is Daryl Hall at 2314 North 82nd Terrace, Kansas City, Kansas, 66109. And first I'm gonna give compliment, shout out to the Motor Vehicles Department. Miss Tina and Miss Bridget, they went over and beyond in customer service to help me, which you said it was going to improve. So wanted to give them their props for that. Then want to get back to the energy that's going on, how it's looking. You know, it's embarrassing. Just want to try to clean it up, and how we're looking up here as a unified government with no unity. So I just want to address that if everyone does play their position, that we the people have called for a new direction last year, you know, over electing a mayor and CEO and new leadership, electing a group of individuals from representatives from each district that's intelligent and strong enough to support the vision that the people have agreed with from the mayor and CEO that we have elected. And just want to make sure that your spelling is correct, because I don't see any I in Wyandotte. But I do see a we at the beginning and the end. There's a we. And if we all come together for one Wyandotte, all of this,
One
the
minute remaining.
implementation of the vision should be, it's on all of you. We're counting on all of you to bring this vision in new direction to pass. And would you please just in unity work together to make that happen? Because together we can make it happen. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak? If so, approach the podium, state your name and address, please.
Curtis Martin, Kansas City, Kansas. I'd like to hear my 2 minutes over to Darrell. All right, thank you then. So would that be wouldn't you feel we'd be stronger working together instead of against each other? Any type of what we hear and what it looks like and what's getting said in the community, whether it be true or not, how is that energy getting out there? It's not a good look. It's not a good look. We the people have spoken. We've elected new vision and leadership, not only in the mayor and CEO, but from you who we've elected to support the vision and help implement it. And if it's not coming to pass, it's not just one person that looks bad. It's all. It's the whole team. It's even us, the people. Because we've chosen you all to represent us and to make this happen. So we hope we don't look bad. Don't make us look bad by choosing you. Please work in unity. Work in unity with all, in harmony. We're calling on you. We're counting on you. Can you please work together to hear our cry for a new reimagined Wyandotte County? Respectfully, also, that really hurt to do that, but there's consequences for that. If you think you just own the position.
1 minute remaining.
Oh, that's good. That's plenty time. So can I look in each one of you's eyes, counting on you, Commissioner Ramirez, counting on you, Commissioner Johnson, counting on you, Commissioner Bynum, counting on you, Administrator, counting on you, Mayor Garner, counting on you, Commissioner Kane, counting on you, Commissioner Stipes, counting on you, Commissioner Markley, counting on you, Commissioner Townsend. Let's make
Your
this
time has expired.
reimagine Wyandotte. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
My name is Hazel Davis, and I would like to give my time to Ty Gorman.
Thank you very much. just wanted to first express my appreciation for the other speakers who have talked tonight. It's really beautiful things said in partnership with all of them. I didn't quite get the chance, I think, to express that how fed up people are with BPU's bills and the way that we can't get through to change the way they operate. One of the aspects that I wanted to bring to the commission was all of the unrelated fees or barely related fees that are part of these bills that are hanging, that you're putting people in medical danger by authorizing these fixed fees onto electric and water bills, so that if they don't pay these bills that are way higher than other bills in the state for other residents, they are suddenly they don't have power because they haven't paid a ton of fixed fees that they can't pay, and they can't get through to all these disorganized network of people who can't solve this problem or help them, because there hasn't been comprehensive planning or a budget to bring federal dollars in to the county in the way that they should be. So I just wanted to make sure I raised that point, that that's another thing the county commission has control over, are those fixed fees that are authorized on the bills. And honestly would challenge anyone here to kind of share what the process is, or share the document publicly, bring this to the public in a meeting to tell people what are the decisions BPU can make, what are the decisions the commission can make, the state. Everybody's pointing fingers at each other around these assistance programs, whose fault it is that we can't get the help we need for folks who are being put in danger in these bills. So I want to
1
just
minute
put it on the
remaining.
commission to bring this information to the public. How does BPU work? What is the charter that gives us the ability to really challenge what they're doing wrong in overcharging the decision making that they have around these expensive power bills that are unnecessary and can be fixed with the federal money, Inflation Reduction Act, IIJA. It's all available the next year, but we have to start planning now. Please start that process. Thank you.
The lobby session. Clerk, is there anyone joining us virtually who would like to speak?
There are no hands raised.
Thank you.
Mayor, we have a latecomer. Eleanor Pitts. Ms. Pitts, you'll need to unmute.
Thank you.
Please state your name and city of residence for the record.
My name is Eleanor Pitts. I live at 1932 South 10th Terrace, 66103. And I'm only a few blocks from Rosedale Ridge. So obviously that's a high priority. It's, as Aaron Stryker earlier told you, it's been a fire hazard for a very long time. And it needs to come down. Somebody had better take it down before we ended up somebody getting killed in there. It could be a homeless person trying to get warm like they did before. It could be a child who has no business over there in the first place, but is. Or it could be a firefighter. And we need to protect our firefighters because they protect us. It could be a police officer who's over there trying to settle down whatever's happening this week. So please, I'm asking you respectfully, take that under consideration and see what you can do to just get rid of it. Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else virtually, Clerk?
No other hands are raised.
Thank you. Thank you for all those that spoke tonight. I'm now going to close the public comment. That takes us to items 2 and 3, which are proclamations. I'll ask the clerk to go through those proclamations.
Thank you. Proclamation. I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim October 7th, 2022 as Augusta White's 100th birthday celebration in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and urge all citizens to recognize Augusta White. Proclamation. I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim October 9, 2022 as Widow's Son Lodge Number 17 Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and urge all citizens to recognize the importance of Widow's Son Lodge Number 17. Proclamation. Whereas the Unified Government of Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas was officially established by public vote in 1997 to bring together the city and county governments. And whereas the unified government has grown and transformed over the past 25 years since consolidation with the intent to provide a high quality of life for our residents. And whereas at this 25th anniversary, the unified government is positioned for the kind of transformation that can ensure continued success and improvement over the next 25 years. And whereas in reflecting on this historic milestone and to honor the reimagining of the next 25 years, this resolution is to recognize October 25th, 2022 for the celebration of the 25th anniversary of the unified government of Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas. And whereas in observation of the 25th anniversary, the unified government of Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas County will host the UG25 Summit to commemorate this milestone and plan for the future. And whereas the UG25 Summit will reflect on lessons learned, best practices, and how to reimagine the organization and the needs of the community for the next 25 years. Now, therefore, I, Tyrone A. Garner, Mayor of Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas, joined by Unified Government Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 25th, 2022 as 25th anniversary of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas, in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and call upon all residents to recognize the 25th anniversary.
Does that conclude the proclamations?
Those are all the proclamations, Mayor.
Thank you, Clerk. That takes us to the regular consent agenda. Do any members of the Commission or County Administrator wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda, consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. And I believe Commissioner Bynum has a question.
Thank you. Mayor, I believe we need to set aside item for the resolution on amending the code provisions for open burn. I had one email from local health department staff, and so I asked our chief counsel to look into this. I think there is some concern about the steps that we've taken at the standing committee and that we may not quite be in compliance with state law. I didn't know if chief counsel could maybe address this. But I guess my request is to remove item 4 off of consent.
Okay. Clerk, can you take note of that item to be set aside?
I have.
Okay.
And with that, I would make a motion to approve all remaining items on the consent agenda.
Okay. Outside of item number 4, which has been set aside, there is a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as is. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Stites. Bynum.
Aye.
Townsend. Aye. Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. The vote is 7-0. The motion carries.
That takes us to the set aside, which is item number 4. I'll recognize Commissioner Bynum for additional comments and questions that she may have in that regard.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been working on this revisions to the open burn since February or March. I'm not sure. It's been a nice long haul. And we brought it to standing committee in September, and I think we were mostly satisfied that we had something we could live with that didn't run afoul of other statutes, which I personally am concerned about, and turns out that the state ended up communicating that we still didn't really we weren't there yet, that the state still had some concerns about the legality of the ordinance revisions that we had made. So I've asked Misty to see if she can't work with us to bring something forward, either October 27th or November 4th, whatever might work better for schedules, not go back to standing committee, just bring some revisions that are in compliance with state law and state health policies, that we can adopt and move forward. And I'll defer to the chief counsel if she's got other comments that we need to hear.
Thank you, Commissioner. Misty Brown, Chief Counsel. So I think you have summed it up well, Commissioner Bynum. I would just add, for the clarity of the commission and anyone watching, is that state statute permits local governments to regulate air quality within their jurisdiction, so long as that regulation complies with state law, state rules, and state regulation. So an important thing to note is the state still maintains jurisdiction over the locality as well. So in this instance, the unified government has its local burn ordinance. So citizens are under unified government jurisdiction for burn activities. They're also under state jurisdiction as well. So we have an instance where I believe staff and the commission have been working hard to come up with a burn ordinance that's going to meet some of the issues that come up when we have a storm and we have a lot of limbs down. But we've gotten to a situation where the spirit and the intent of what was drafted conflict with the letter of what was drafted. So the state has expressed some concerns, and there appears to be just some confusion about a couple of areas where if we proceeded as it is currently written, there could be some confusion for residents in that they are under state jurisdiction. They're also under unified government jurisdiction. So the recommendation that I would have at this time would be to, as Commissioner Bynum said, defer this matter over to either the 10/27 meeting or the November 4th meeting, clean up some of this language so that there's no conflict with state rules and regulations, and make sure that it's very clear so that we're all on the same page going forward.
Thank you, Chief Counsel. Commissioner Bynum.
Mayor, thanks. In thinking about it, I would prefer November 4, just because I think October 27 is a planning and zoning night, and it could be a long night. And maybe November 4th might give us the time we need to make sure we understand it. That would be my request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should I make a motion? Okay.
Commissioner King.
Thank you, Mayor. We have been working on this for a long time. I don't want to do anything wrong against the state. But our staff presented it the way staff wanted to present it, not the way the commission wanted to present it. You know, we had this issue resolved, we settled it, we voted on it. They didn't like it, so they went back and they talked to KDHE and said, here's what we got. Well, why didn't they tell us the KDHE in the first place? Because no, I will not vote for something that KDHE says that we can't do. No doubt about it. But sometimes it's how you present the stuff. You know, the fire marshal showed up at my constituent's house with a gun, a taser, to intimidate the person that lived there. And I called the fire marshal for the state, and he said he's only supposed to wear something like that if he goes to a crime scene. Then the rest of some of these fellow employees didn't like what I said, so they get a hold of KDHE and say they presented it in such a way that no matter what I said, and I want to remind the people that work down there, that they work for us. We don't work for them. And they're supposed to present it the way it's the legal and the right way to present it, not a way to say, we're going to take care of this just because we don't like Commissioner Kane. And it's frustrating. You know, I thought I was just sit there and wait, but it's frustrating for me because that's exactly what happened. And it's happened ever since I've been here, that they don't like something I'm doing because I'm more mouthy, I'm more responsive to my constituents. So they said, well, here's what we're gonna do. And they had time to think about it. They should have came to us the very first time and said, we cannot do this, and here's why. And you can get all the mad you want out there, brother, because you're part of the problem.
Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Stites.
Commissioner Stites, District 7. So this is a county, and I haven't been on the discussions regarding this. So have we spoke to Bonner Springs and Edwardsville and how this affects them? And I'm kind of looking for a little bit, I'm not sure how that, because this is a county ordinance, right?
Commissioner Sites, Misty Brown, Chief Counsel. Yeah, there has been, so this is a county ordinance that would incorporate into the unincorporated areas of Loring. Now, in order to get, there has been some discussion with Bonner Springs and Edwardsville on where one would get a permit, because when you apply for a burn permit, you go to the you start with the fire station in your jurisdiction. So Bonner Springs and Edwardsville residents would still go to their fire departments to get their burn permits. But as far as KCK and Loring goes, they would come to get the permits here.
So this wouldn't add an additional step into, let's just say, an Edwardsville resident going in and applying for a burn permit when they go to the fire department in Edwardsville and request a burn permit. They don't have to then check with the county. It's still authorized and issued through the respective city.
That is my understanding of how it would work.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you. I would make a motion that we bring this ordinance amending code provisions for open burning back to our commission meeting that I think would be held on November 3rd. Thank you. Not November 4th. So Mayor, that's my motion.
Just clarity on your motion, Commissioner Bynum. What, to bring it back, is there any request?
Yes, I'm sorry. The request would be with further revisions to ensure that our ordinance would be in compliance with policies at KDAG as well as state law.
Is there any
Thank you.
further discussion about the motion, the request that has been brought forward by Commissioner? She does. A second. Okay. If this motion passes, I'll direct the administrator to honor that request. So I have a motion and I have a second. Roll call, please, clerk.
Roll call, Markley.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. The vote is 7-0. The motion carries.
Thank you. That takes us to the administrator's agenda. And the first item is a resolution to issue general obligation bonds or temporary notes for the Fairfax Trafficway improvements. I'll ask Mr. Jeff Fisher, the Executive Director of Public Works, to make some opening remarks.
Good evening. I'm going to introduce the county engineer who's managing that and give you some details, and entertain questions.
Troy Shawn, the county engineer. So if any of you have been down to Fairfax Trafficway in the last, I think, year and a half or 2 years, that one outside lane on the going roughly westbound, kind of weird direction down there, has been closed. The outside lane is closed due to failure of the surface below or lack of surface below. You can go out there and look down and see ground 15 feet below the road where that outside lane's at. So we closed that from a safety standpoint. And since that point, there have been some concerns about delays in traffic, getting from the plant down there. And when shift change happens and then having to stop, big trucks having to stop at the railroad tracks down there, which causes other backs up in traffic and vehicles trying to swerve to get around that, to get to the area. So I believe this request is to expedite the funding that is currently in the budget for 24 and 5 up to 23. So the funding requested in 24 and 5 was $1 million within 2 years, and moving it up to 23, it would be around 800,000 just from a time standpoint and inflation costs. So that's what we're here, and I'm free to answer any questions.
Thank you. We have a question, Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you. Good evening. Actually, I do not have a question, Mayor. This would be a major infrastructure improvement to the Fairfax area that would benefit not only those who traverse those lanes on Fairfax Trafficway, to give people a visual. If you know where the Phillips 66 area is, just look to the west of that. And I would just move to accept this resolution item
Second.
as presented.
Thank you. We have a question. Commissioner Kane, you got a question?
I don't have a question. Just want to thank staff. I'm the one that brought it to their attention. And there's a specific time in between shifts when it's really bad. You know, especially the first shift to the second shift, and that hole's bigger than 15 feet. I believe it's more a north-south way, but this is exactly some of the things that we have to have some of that funding set aside for a rainy day, because this is some serious issues down there, and we appreciate you guys moving it forward.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments? Hearing none, I believe we have a motion. Is that correct? And we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Roll call, Markley.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. The vote is 7-0. The motion carries.
Thank you. Our next item is the approval of two separate ordinances relating to storm and surface water utility fees. I'll ask Mr. Fisher to make the opening presentation.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I may.
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to table this item, given the number of absences tonight for presentation, hopefully on November 3rd. And staff has already had that discussion with me.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to table this item for further consideration. Roll call.
Roll call, Markley.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. The vote is 7-0. The motion carries.
Thank you. Our last item is a presentation from our interim county administrator on the UG Forward Initiative. I'll ask Ms. Cheryl Harrison Lee, our county administrator, to make the opening remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. At the onset of my appointment as the interim county administrator, I made a commitment to provide quarterly updates. As promised, tonight, I will be providing an update on the progress we've made within the third quarter. As we approach the 25th anniversary since consolidation, it's important that we continue to take stock of the things we've accomplished, not only to celebrate our successes, but to remain aware of opportunities for continued growth. This time I'll ask the clerk to please bring up the presentation. If you could move to the next slide, please. As we work through the transitional phase at the unified government, I regularly refer to the DEIF framework, which gives us the opportunity to continue discovering, evaluating, identifying, and focusing together forward. We've accomplished a lot this quarter. Some of the highlights are: we've implemented many of the short-term initiatives from the assessments, including the realignment of departments. We've honed our focus on two most important components of our operations: HR, our people, and finances. We've started having conversations around strategic planning and shifting our mindsets to think long-term about the sustainability of the unified government. We've adopted the 2023 budget, which was no small feat, and thank you for all of your support and assistance through that process, as well as our citizens. We've started working to prepare the organization for a permanent county administrator ensuring that key concerns are addressed or at the very least identified to encourage continued momentum. Next slide, please. Discover in the DEI framework is all about finding new ways to strengthen engagement among residents, local government, and the business community. We've continued to engage the community through the ARPA process, the budget cycle, and consistent communication as we pursue new initiatives. We've partnered with many organizations internally and externally to support civic engagement and feedback from the community. And we are working to address workforce culture and HR priorities by hiring a chief people officer and conducting public safety recruitment efforts throughout the community. Evaluate. Next slide, please. Evaluate is about taking the opportunity to assess the current organization and identify areas for improvement, as well as capitalizing on our centers of excellence, our common strengths throughout the organization that will benefit us all. We've taken action on some preliminary assessment findings, including realignment of the organization to support similar functions and increase interdepartmental synergy. We've also appointed an interim assistant county administrator for administrative services and positioned ACAs for strategic progress in their respective areas. The 2023 budget process helped us to reflect on our strategic priorities and opportunities for improvement in the future. And during this transitional phase, a reevaluation of those priorities is recommended. We also have had some difficult conversations about infrastructure and adopted the Infrastructure Outcomes and Strategies document, which is a culmination of the work of the Infrastructure Subcommittee. And we've engaged the community as well as other partners throughout the county in the executive recruitment to find a permanent county administrator. Next slide, please. Identify is about pursuing economic development opportunities that create access, equity, and shared prosperity. The 2023 budget process was insightful in that we learned that economic development is going to be critical as it relates to addressing the financial stability of the unified government. We've made progress in this area and recognize opportunities for continued growth. Mayor Garner was selected for the Bloomberg Harvard City Leadership Initiative, and the focus of this initiative is collaboration and equitable economic development. We've launched the RFP for our Economic Development Strategic Plan, and we look forward to reviewing those responses later this month. We've had many conversations with local contractors and encouraged their involvement with potential projects, and we've approved over 170 building permits. We were awarded over $5 million in raised grant funds, and we adopted a countywide mobility strategy, all in the effort to ensure that we are prepared for the kinds of economic development that we know we will need. While we know we've done work in this area, there's room for growth as it relates to economic development, and we're moving in the right direction. Next slide, please. Focus in the DEIF framework is all about superior customer service, both internally and externally. We must ensure that our focus remains on the needs of our customers and the needs of the team. In pursuit of that, we are continuing to identify long and midterm priorities to take care of our most important investments. The Treasury Office is continuing to make improvements. They're conducting in-service Wednesdays to focus on professional development. We've prioritized recommendations from the assessments for implementation. We hosted a workday fair to help staff get acquainted with the new paperless system for tracking business processes, and approved the budget with significant investments in staff, both in the area of pay and development as we continue to review current policies to protect staff and ensure that we are accountable. Next slide, please. So this is by no means an exhaustive list of all that we've been able to do in Q3. It is a snapshot of all that is being done behind the scenes to assure future prosperity of the unified government. Next slide, please. So what's next? We're moving forward, and while much has been done, there's still quite a lot to do to make sure we're functioning in a manner that best serves our residents, stakeholders, and staff. Up next, we will be exploring the economic development strategic plan. We'll get the process started. We'll also continue to invest in our workforce and our finances by continuing to implement the work of the assessment recommendations. Later this month, we talked about celebrating the 25th anniversary of the unified government with the UG 25 Summit. That will be an opportunity for employees to celebrate the important milestone, to reflect on the accomplishments of the past 25 years, and work together to produce ideas for our future. Finally, we will be launching Leads, a continuous improvement program focused on leadership development, process refinement, and shifting the organizational culture of the unified government. All of this is made possible because we have staff working hard. I appreciate all of the work that the staff has been able to do this quarter to present this report to you tonight and look forward to the progress that we will continue to make. Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, that concludes the update.
Thank you, Administrator. Do any other commissioners have any comments or questions? Commissioner Stites?
Stites, District 7. So during the public input portion this morning, or earlier, not this morning, been a long day already. Mr. Gorman, I want to say thank you for your concern. Not only did you bring a concern forward, you brought some solutions forward also, and some things that we can look at on how we might address those problems. And I know the mayor asked that if you bring forward a concern, maybe you can bring forward a solution. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Administrator, I just have one. It's a comment and a question. If you could go back to your slide with the summit. The UG Summit, could you just, while she's pulling that up, could you describe that a little more for us?
Yes, what we envision happening with the summit is an opportunity to have some of the residents, administrators, and commission members who were engaged in the process at the time of consolidation. We are looking to have a roundtable discussion with them for the employees. And also in the afternoon, we're looking to have administrators, the assistant county administrators, talking with their department directors and staff to be able to talk about ideas for the next 25 years as well.
Thank you. Were there any other anniversary events that you know planned
For the 25.
for the unified government? I guess I just asked, let me just make an ask. I believe that's great. This is something really awesome to be celebrating when you talk about 25 years of unified government. But I think the unified government is so much more than just government. The term unified government dictates or annotates a governmental entity. But I think when you talk about community, and just my background is that we are a unified community made up of 3 separate cities, as well as a smaller portion of a city, as well as a great large portion of community folks that love Wyandotte County, that have worked hard in this community, and that also work just as hard doing things out every day in the community for years, some for decades, trying to make Wyandotte County a great and safe place to live, work, and raise a family. I think we would be remiss to not involve our residents and our citizens in this celebration. And so I ask that we look at something to celebrate the unified government that they approved, because they had to vote for the unification of Wyandotte County with the city of Kansas City, Kansas. Involve our residents in this process. So it's a community-oriented based celebration that goes beyond the 4 walls of this government, and a few individuals that may have had some input in creating this government, and really just make it I believe, a community event where everyone that calls Wyandotte County home, and even those that want to call Wyandotte County home, can be a part of this great celebration that we have come to know as the unified government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and we cannot leave out Bonner Springs, Edwardsville, and portions of Lake Corvera. And that's just an ask for me. So, but thank you for the report. With no further business to come before the governing body, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So-
Markley, move
so-
to,
Go ahead.
move to adjourn.
Second Johnson.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Roll call Markley,
Aye.
Stites, Bynum,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane. The vote is 7-0. The motion carries.